The caucuses are having their usual meetings to try to ensure that we have a smooth and harmonious transition from the 8th Parliament to the 9th Parliament. And so they are over there now, and they took a bit of my time, which is what led to
a late start of this whole ceremony. And so, on behalf of the leaders
and members of Parliament, I sincerely apologize to all of you for keeping you waiting, and we are extremely grateful for your patience and tolerance. With this, let me acknowledge the presence of my seniors. We have, as you've been told, our mother, the Speaker of the 6th Parliament, 5th Parliament, 5th Parliament of the 4th Republic, my Lord, Right Honorable Justice Adelaide Bamford Adu. I served as a majority leader under her, and it was a very, very important period for me, because I learned how to temper my vibrancy with her coolness as a very astute judge of the Supreme Court. And she tutored me a lot, and I took her as one of my role models. Before the Right Honorable Aaron Michael Quay, professor himself, who took me in my early days as a very young MP as one of our resource persons in our workshops on democracy, parliamentary practice, and procedures. So I wasn't surprised that he rose up to become the Speaker of the Parliament of Ghana, and that is the 7th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana. We are greatly honored with your presence here, and I must thank you for the value addition to my life. We have, as we've been told, the acting clerk. He's not a new face. In fact, people refer to him as the face of Parliament, because he's been the head of the table office for a long time. And so anytime people tune into the Parliament of Ghana, he's seated there as the head of the table office. Mr. Ebenezer Ahuma Jethro is a reverend, and so he likes preaching, and I think it's now part of his passion. So we are grateful for the message, and what I'm simply going to do is just to emphasize some of the points they raised in their submissions, and maybe add a bit of history to it as a student of history. After that, I'll ask some questions so that those who can tell me the meaning of Vasco da Gama, I'll give the person a prize. Vasco da Gama, particularly the meaning of da Gama. This one you should know, very simple. So let me thank you for making time to join us to commission the museum here in Parliament. As we gather today on this momentous occasion, we stand at the confluence of our nation's rich history and the vibrant future of our democracy. The commissioning of this museum presents us as a nation a unique opportunity to not only celebrate our past, but also envision the role of history in shaping our democratic journey. This museum stands as a testament to not only to the pillars of democracy that support our way of governance, but also to the enduring spirit of Ghanaian tradition and identity forged through ages past. In the words of Robert Heslin, an American author, a generation which ignores history has no past and no future. This underscores the importance of history in our life. Our own Nelson Mandela tells us that our rich and varied cultural heritage has a profound power to help build our nation. And so our history, though turbulent, is a very rich one which we must preserve and promote for the benefit of the younger generation and those yet unborn. The youth and prosperity must appreciate where we have come from as a nation. This will serve as a useful lesson to avoid the mistakes of the past. The trajectory of our political history derives its source from how our society was organized prior to the arrival of the European explorers and traders, who named our land Gold Coast. And that is a translation into English. The Portuguese did not call us
Gold Coast. They call us by the name what land? Who can tell me? This is how important history is. Del Minar.
And the first people arrived as Shama in 1471. So you can see the cross there at Shama. The trajectory of our political history, as I said, derives its source from our society, which was organized prior to the arrival of the European explorers and traders who named our land the Gold Coast del Minar. This was followed by centuries of the despicable transatlantic slave trade through to the era of colonial rule. The resilience of our forefathers and their determination to reclaim self-rule led to a series of agitations and reactions that culminated in our political independence in 1957. Our beloved country finally attained Republican status in 1960. The struggle did not end there. The country was yet to grapple with a series of coups that toppled the first, second, and third republics until the country's eventual return to constitutional rule in 1993. We don't need any evidence to tell us that what concerns us must be decided by us all. One of the main reasons why the 1992 Constitution stayed up to date is because it was the decision of all of us, not by any group in the society. Everybody matters in life. And we all drafted it together, and we all took the decision in the referendum and we all felt that we are part and parcel of that document, and so we all decided to obey it. And that is how come, and I said, one of the reasons why we have broken the jinx, and we've been along this path for 32 good years now. Throughout these periods, Parliament has had its own unique history. The struggle for legislative inclusion and participation in governance dates as far back as the pre-colonial and the colonial era, when leading citizens of the Gold Coast agitated and demanded for the colonial government to allow for citizens' representation in decision-making processes. The Legislative Council was first established in the Gold Coast in 1866 to advise the colonial administration on enacting laws. It was, however, not until the 1888 that the first African unofficial member, John Saba, was nominated to the council. Don't forget that John Mensah Saba was the first full-blooded Ghanaian to be called to the bar in 1887 as a lawyer. But before that, there was one Ribeiro who was called to the bar in 1883. But his background was Portuguese, Brazil, and Gold Coast. The two families have been debating it. This is good information to the two families. And so if you talk about full-blooded Ghanaian who was called to the bar, is John Mensah Saba, 1887. But if you talk about a Ghanaian, you can call half-blooded or one-third blooded, but he was a Ghanaian. He is Ribeiro, who was called to the bar 1883. And I'm talking about being called in UK, not in Accra or anywhere in the Gold Coast. I know why I'm emphasizing this, because the two families have gotten in touch with me when I made a statement on the floor in Parliament on this matter. So I want it to be clarified. The John Mensah Saba was the one who led the establishment of the Aborigines Rights Protection Society. And so he was the first African unofficial member nominated to the council. After several years of changes in the composition and structure of the council, the National Assembly was established upon the attainment of independence. These developments present a rich historical information for the establishment of a museum. The year 2023 marked exactly 3 decades of uninterrupted parliamentary democracy in Ghana. To commemorate this significant feat, Parliament, under my leadership, embarked on a series of programs and activities across the country to interact with citizens and bring Parliament closer to the doorsteps of the people. We watched with admiration the enthusiasm with which Ghanaians came out in their numbers to participate in the games, the health walks, the mock parliaments, and the fora that we held. And very critical questions were asked about Parliament, about governance, and about development. Distinguished participants, we live in a world driven by an insatiable quest for knowledge. Our rich history has been but a whisper, an untold story, yearning for an audience. This museum stands not merely as a collection of relics. It is a chronicle of courage, a chronicle of sacrifice, and a chronicle of fervent hope of the people. Each exhibit in this museum will remind us of our journey, where we started, the trials we faced, and the unyielding spirit that has time and time again triumphed. A tour of the exhibition will reveal the vigor of countless individuals who sacrificed everything to carve a path for future generations. And we are happy and lucky to be enjoying this sacrifice. Their energy will remind us that governance is not simply an institution, but is rooted deeply in service, integrity, and vision. As I speak, I am reminded of the words of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, who boldly declared, and these are his words: the forces of history and of our action, our own action, have brought us to the point where, with courage and confidence, we may venture forth to liberate our land and our people. This museum houses significant historical documents, documentaries, photographs, and artifacts that narrate the story of parliamentary democracy in Ghana, ensuring that future generations appreciate the sacrifices and the struggles of our forefathers. Those of you who know history very well are aware of 1823, where the first governor, Charles McCarthy, led the war against the Ashantis, and what happened to him? He was beheaded. The British learned a lesson from it. So the museum will also play a crucial role in civic education, helping our children, students, and citizens in general to understand the importance of parliamentary procedures, the significance of their voices and votes, and the weight of those voices and votes in the democracy, so that they don't see democracy as just voting and going back to sleep. It is important to note that, on the average, Parliament receives about 17,000 visitors per year, on the average. As a matter of policy, such visitors will be encouraged to visit the museum moving forward. All special guests, such as speakers and heads of state who visit Parliament, will be given a tour of the museum. Finally, the museum will equally foster a sense of ownership and pride among citizens in our democratic process, encouraging active participation in governance and an informed electorate. I wish to use this opportunity to express my appreciation to all the individuals and organizations who contributed in diverse ways to this project a success. I particularly want to thank Mr. Richard Champon, our senior principal assistant clerk, and the committee members he introduced to you, I also want to thank the Executive Secretary and the Ghana Museums and Monuments Board, as well as all those who donated artifacts and other items for the use of the museum. We have also put in place some modulations that you will feel part and parcel of the museum as we thought through it. So we haven't completed all, but there is going to be some high-tech interventions that can be an attraction to give us more visitors to the house, to learn from our history, to participate in what we do, and to lead us to shape the Ghana that we all want. On this note, I wish to encourage each one of you to visit this museum, engage with its exhibits, and share stories of our parliamentary journey with your families, friends, and colleagues. Together, let us illuminate the path of parliamentary democracy in Ghana, fostering a future where every voice counts, and democracy not only for us to exist, but a democracy that is living and thriving sustainably. On this note, I have the singular honor when we go up on your behalf, on behalf of the leadership, the clerks, we usually refer to them, the clerkship, the members, and their common name is membership of the House, to cut the ribbon to commission the Museum of the Parliament of Ghana. With this, I thank all of you for your presence, and may the good Lord continue to bless all of us and make our nation greater and stronger. I thank you so much for the opportunity.
A round of applause for Mr. Speaker. This is a good time to celebrate the Parliament of Ghana Museum. Please help me welcome Alhaji Mohammed Inusa to give us the closing prayer. Before Alhaji Inusa gives us the closing prayer, I'll call on Ketre Erajesi to give us the vote of thanks.
Good morning, everyone. It is my distinct honor and pleasure to express to you the hearty vote of thanks. Right Honorable Speaker, I'd like to commend you for such a big feat. Clearly, you are dedicated to promoting the history and the heritage of Parliament of Ghana. And our gathering here today is not just about commissioning of a physical structure, but a journey in a new era to promoting the heritage and history of Parliament and the legislature at large. I'd like to also appreciate the previous speakers, Madam Speaker of the 5th Parliament, Right Honorable Joyce Bamford Addo, and then the Speaker of the 7th Parliament, Right Honorable Professor Aaron Michael Quay. Thank you for laying the foundation to the history of Parliament. Again, I'd also like to acknowledge the members of the diplomatic corps present, the management of the parliamentary service, to the museum committee. Your work is highly appreciated, and I think you deserve a hearty applause. From conceptualization from conceptualization to seeing this museum to life is highly commendable, and we appreciate you. To the members of the Parliamentary Service and all of us present here, I'd like to acknowledge your presence and to urge all of us that this is a new era to promoting the rich history of Parliament, and it is all our call to support this cause. And I believe that by this, the initiative of the Right Honourable Speaker, we continue to preserve the history of Parliament. Once again, I thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much, Patriotic, for that wonderful vote of thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, I would want you to respectfully observe these. Now, just after the closing prayer, we're going to move for the commissioning ceremony itself. Those sitting in front, just those on the black seat, they are the ones going. We are going to go in badges, so just those in front will go first. Now, the rest of us will be seated here. You are going to be served. The Speaker has made arrangement for all of you to be served and refreshed appropriately before you come to the museum. You see, Mr. Speaker is a good man. You know, he wants to make sure you are fully satisfied before you come to see for yourself what he has prepared for you. And so we're just going to observe that. Just those in front are going to go witness it, and then the others will come in that order. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we'd like to thank all of you for your time this morning as we invite Alhaji to give us the closing prayer.
All thanks be to God Almighty, the Lord of the worlds, the Creator, the nourisher, and the sustainer of the universe. God Almighty, we thank you for the life of the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament and the former Speakers of Parliament, for having preserved them to be with us this day to witness the making of another history. A history in which they have a contribution. God, we thank you for Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. We thank you for the officers of Parliament, and we thank you for preserving our democracy. As believers, when we give thanks and praise to God Almighty, it's not just because of what He has done for us yesterday, or what He is doing for us today. For He made it abundantly clear to us in the Holy Quran that, have you not been informed by Ibrahim, that I said that whenever you are thankful, I shall add more unto you. God, we give gratitude this morning, so that tomorrow much more will be added unto Parliament of the Republic of Ghana and for the life of the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Thank you very much, Alhaji. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we all rise for the patriotic song?
In a royal society, a body mayen, Mojano no shekunya jituvo mayen. Itamini wasoso. Say pay ye biotwaso. Nim the floso crosso. Crowning and the semi coming. Adrien Bremu Damaya Sasewoto Atum Sen. Omano Sepeyo, Omano Serio, Ayesena Ose, Amafo Pranetre, Omano Sepeyo, Omano Serio, Ayesena Ose, Amafo Pranetre.
Thank you very much. Please remain standing as the speaker and the dignitaries take their turn to go for the commissioning ceremony. Thank you.
Left.
Makwaba edeba ENJ home deco asye aha yeton inkonya papa ewa hase inkonya leda no wudisi wudemu aye forever and ever just one kasa wo pese wo sesa inkonya no na leda no de wa wo bana wa wo besom wa hu atin se mi fili leda nan kasa enya de a epa enya de etete enya de a esei ani na de ye di enua aye ne so no endua ni mu oduye ye papa ehompa ehonsei eguwo demu a eguwo ho a chese obi eba besrawa fe eti wani mu ye pa ni nyina so ebo eda from ye pa nkonya ne de emu efe ye se de wuhu e wo screen ni so no ye wo single ones wa ha se ya se bedroom na pese ya audit na ni ahomache wotena se na wa dwendwen wo life ho a eno so ebusu bebre e wa ha se 2 in 1 e wa ha family size de enso e wo aha se na ENJ home deco enye nkonya kwa ena yeton ye wo center tables nyina so ebi wa ha ye wo side tables enso wa ha ene wo ko wo demu a esisi nchen wo di phone bi beto so charge a no so kama center table no so no flowers ni sisu a ana se teddy bear ne da so a fa akono ye pa yeton eye emema shirt designer shirt nkwan so ena yeton wa ha se yeton shirt papa wo betimi ede etukwan shirt a wo betimi ede akwa wedding program bia shirt a wo betimi ede akọ eyi ase shirt a ehyewo a obi hu se papa yi ana abrante de nani atiye pa because nipa de wipia bonti a wo dressing ne ebi hu nipa usu ne wo ban a wo ye eti dressing de ehu hia ye pa eti no fo ani kire ENJ home deco ha se na ba beje shirt papa efa ehyewo a wankasa wo be feel gbenze within you no na ENJ enye shirt nkwa so me san so eton wa ha se ye wo wall posters enso wa ha ebo bedroom ebo ho a fe obi besra wa kono yi a chese eti wanim pa enya gro ena midi se de hu screen so se fe ani ne bon so ewo from yesan so akwa wall clock so edi aba ebo wo no ho a ene enu ane se time ne so kura na person the time bia wo hwe wo clock no because fe design no one in town wa wunya bi wo ba bia age se ENJ home deco ha sei yakwa bathroom me was so de aba eno so no fe ye size bia bi wa ha type bia bi wa ha wo ba ENJ home deco ha wonsa ebekam tomato paste aduane no aso hu hia wo to nyama ni na siesie wo ho ne wo da mu wi a akase ubedidi eno so nya adwen ho yie pa enti akwa tomato paste original one a ne bo eda from enso edi aba ubetini aba betobi yesan so ye cooking oil ye friend sunflower no yakofa bean so edi aba wonim say sunflower cooking oil there ye quality ye original wo di ye aduane na say we ye mistake bi mpo na bi ntibi gu mu kra na bro so a oil no ebe solve mistake ni nyina de ama wanka say bia na do ye no na egusu ejizane na so ye pa eti no for wani chrem ye nje home deco aha no ye wholesale and then retail wo pese utu wa ye available wo person to ne mako so ye available wakasa wa chichini benchenya so na wutimi mba wo frɛ number na etwagu screen na mama comfort e de nyema no be brew e we wakasa wo fia wo da ho no wanwa no bete pepe enj e na yaba no ya na yaba no enj home decor na ye di Patriotic abagana me mo kwa ba e de ba enj home decor asie ye aha ye ton nkonya papapa e wa ha sei nkonya leather no wo di si wo dem wa forever and ever just a one kasa wo pese wo sesa wo nkonya no na leather no de wa wo bana wa wo besom wa wo hu atim se mi fili leather na nkasa enya de a epa enya de etete enya de a esei ani na de ye di enua aye no so no endwa ni mu oduye ye papa ehon pa ehon sei egu dem a egu ho a chese obi eba besra wa fe eti wani mu ye pa ni nyina so ebo eda from ye pa nkonya ne de emu efe ye se de hu e wo screen ni so no ye wo single ones wa ha se ya se wo bedroom na pese ya audit na ni ahomache wo tena se na wa dwendwen wo life ho a eno so ebusu bebre e wa ha se 2 in 1 e wa ha family size de enso e wo aha se na enj home deco enye nkonya ko a na ye tom ye wo center tables nyira so ebi wa ha ye wo side tables enso wa ha ene wo ko wo dem a esisi nchen wo di phone bi beto so charge a no so kama center table no so no flowers ni sisu a ana say teddy bear ne da so a fa akono ye pa ye ton eye emema shirt designer shirt nkwan so na ye ton wa ha say ye ton shirt papa wo betimi edi etukwan shirt a wo betimi edi akọ wedding program bia shirt a wo betimi edi akọ eyi ase shirt a ehyewo a obi hu ose papa yi ana abrante de nani atiye pa because nipa de wipia bonti a ye wo dress en ye di hu nipa usu ne wo ban a wo ye eti dress en de ehu hia ye pa eti no fo ani kire enj home deco ha say na ba beje shirt papa fa ehyewo a wankasa wo be feel gbenze within you no na enj enye shirt nkwan so me san so eton wa ha say ye wo wall posters enso e wa ha ebo bedroom ebo ho a fe obi besra wa kono ye chese eti wanim pa enya go na midi se de hu screen so se eyefe ani ne bon so ewe from yesan so akwa wall clock so edi aba ebo wo ne ho a ene enu ane se time ne so kura na opese ne time bia wo hwe wo clock no because efe design no eye one in town wa wunya bi wo ba bia age se enj home deco ha sei yakwa bathroom mirrors so de aba eno so no efe ye size bia bi wa ha type bia bi wa ha wo ba enj home deco ha wonsa ebekam tomato paste aduane no aso huhia wo tonya mari na esiesie wo ho ne wo da mu wi a akase wo bedidi eno so nya adwen ho yie pa enti akwa tomato paste original one a ne bo eda from enso edi aba ubetini aba betobi yesan so ye cooking oil ye friend sunflower no yakofa bean so edi aba wonim say sunflower cooking oil there ye quality ye original wo di ye aduane na say we ye mistake bi mpo na bi nchi bi gu mu kra na bro so a oil no ebe solve mistake ni nyina de ama wanka say bia na do ye no na egusu ejizane na so ye pa eti no for wani chrem ye enj home deco aha no ye wholesale and then retail wo pese utu tonwa ye available wo pese otone mako so ye available wakasa wa chichini benchenya so na wutimi mba wo frɛ number na etwagu screen na mama comfort e de nyema no be brew e we wakasa wo fia wo da ho no wanwa no bete pepe enj e na yaba no ya na yaba no enj home deco na ye di Patriotic